Hello, this is Mr. M, bringing you another episode of Working in Saudi 101 for Dummies. Now, this is the third part of the installments relating to what to do in your spare time in Saudi Arabia. Now, again, back to the Free Richard H campaign. I've had 3 people write in since the last video last week on social media to me, and one was asking very detailed questions. So I said to them, look, here's the timeline. You can all have the timeline if you write to me, but I don't have time to get into deep specifics. The timeline tells you when this situation occurred, what it was about, when Richard had been to the police station, charges, etc., 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 and it's very clear. So that's where we are on that one. Right. Okay. So today we're going to go, as I said, for the third part of what to do in your spare time in Saudi Arabia. Today I'm going to talk about sports. Now, there is a very good chain in Saudi Arabia called Fitness Time, and you find that in all the major cities, and it's of an international standard. It's one of the best I've ever come across. Swimming pool, some of them have basketball courts, gym, fitness training, etc., etc. Of course, it's separate men from women, although they've recently opened up one in the last 4 years, I think, for women. And it's all over the kingdom. It's first class. It's not, if you're on a medium income, it's reasonable, and you can use it as often as possible, as many times as possible. And there's a few grades of it. At the top grade, you've got things like towels, aftershave, shaving lotion, billiards or pool, etc., etc., coffee room. And at the lower level, you have to bring your own towel, and you don't get some of the service. But they all have most have reasonably good saunas. Some even have Turkish baths. Right, Fitness Time. They're not a sponsor, by the way. There's usually gyms in complexes if you live in a complex. That's not for most of you. There are specific weight training clubs. Usually they're much less facilities, but they're less expensive. And you can usually pay by the week or the month. But they're less expensive, and they tend to be, for the guys that want to do heavy weight training. There's also hash house harriers, which people who've worked as expats know about. In, I think, the larger cities. I never went to it. There's also jogging in parks, but if you do that, make sure that you wear a t-shirt, not a singlet, I would suggest, and shorts below the knee. That's part of the modesty rules in Saudi Arabia. I don't know about for women. I never saw really women jogging. Never try jogging on the road unless you want to die. Don't do anything near a road except cross it. Next, sometimes you may want to go for a bit of a luxury swim and sauna. And there you can pay. There's some 3-star hotel. Golden Tulip is one I know of, where you can go for a sauna and a swim, and you just pay by the day. As far as I know, when I've looked, 5-star hotels tend to want you to pay by the month, and they're quite expensive. Tennis and squash, I assume that's on a compound, but I don't know. Right, okay. Now I'm going to go back again to the Free Richard H correspondence. Well, since we last spoke, Richard has been to the local police station he was guided to by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, but there's 2 Arab policemen. They both have the same name, so one is called Big A and the other is Small A. He's been 3 times with his interpreter, a friend of his who's an Arab expat. They've gone 3 times, they've rung, and each time the small expat with the name A has gone looking for the policeman named B and can't find him. So this is, and it takes up a full day. So he spent 3 full days over the last week trying to find these police to look at his case. Also, he got something online which was very strange. I think he must have a hermaphrodite case, because either he read it wrong, but in one case, because you can look at this sort of thing from the Ministry of Interior or some other site, and he was marked recently as the plaintiff. So is he the defendant, or is he the plaintiff, or is he both? Witness for the prosecution. it's quite pathetic, but that's the way it is. What I'm hoping to do is do something in London this summer if this isn't cleared up. Richard's in a very low ebb at the moment. He's not feeling well. Mentally and physically, he's pretty exhausted. But I can understand that, and certainly I'm sure you can understand it. For those 3 people who wrote into me, please write your MP and send me a copy, if you can, of the letter to your MP. This all helps. You know, I know London's got problems with coronavirus. It's got the, but Richard's life matters as well, yeah? Richard's life matters. So it's important with all the nonsense and chaos going on all over the world and in England that, people don't forget about Richard. Because the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, except for one lady which we've mentioned who actually is Arabic, the rest don't really give a flying F. But all of that will come out more. Just, I've even informed all of the Foreign Commonwealth Office, the people in the UK, the people in Cairo, the regional office, and of course in Riyadh. And of course they won't be visiting Richard. But just more and more is going to come out, so it's better that the Foreign and Commonwealth Office do get involved, because the more people hit it. And also, some people are not doing the hits, because of course, even if they're not in the Gulf region, but not in Saudi, they're afraid they could be traced. This is what it's like working in that region. Okay? So until the next time, remember, again, to write this, kabsa.anzi@gmail.com, if you want specifics of Richard's case. Richard, hold on. We're doing our best. Thank you very much. Bye.